everybody. Good afternoon, Rotarians.
Good afternoon. Hi, Kevin.
Hi, Kevin.
Hi, Kevin. All right. Well, welcome to the August 15th meeting of the Rotary Club of Des Moines. Pleased to say I'm your president, Kevin Kassir, once again honored. Thank you goes to Sean Mullen today for being our greeter. As a reminder, you can...
And Skeet, he helped too.
Way to go, Skeet.
Thank you.
Setting the curve, setting the curve.
Not very high.
I'll leave that joke sitting there, Skeet. It's very easy to sign up as a greeter, either online or when you walk out the door. So if you haven't done that, please sign up. We can actually have two. We'd love to have 2 members sign up to be a greeter each week. Great opportunity to get to know folks, add value to the club, and just do a good thing. So please sign up for that. Also, in addition, as you know, we have the sign up for the Moment of Inspiration. I'm pleased to say we have someone signed up today, and it is a very new member who hasn't been introduced to you yet. But if you haven't met her, you need to. Susie Willems will be introduced here shortly, but she signed up to be a leader of our Moment of Inspiration, lead us in the 4-way test, the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we will greet members. So please welcome Susie Willems.
Good afternoon, Rotarians. And I will be inducted next week, so I'll be sitting at the big table again. All right. So once upon a time in a bustling city, much like Des Moines, there lived a young woman named Mia. She was known for her busy schedule, often rushing from one meeting to another, her mind occupied with work and daily responsibilities. Though she had a good heart, Mia rarely had time to notice the world around her. One rainy Thursday morning, Mia hurried to a coffee shop. To grab her usual morning brew, she spotted an elderly man struggling to carry heavy bags across the street. Despite being late, something stirred in her heart. She made a split decision to help him. She approached the man and asked, "Can I help you with those bags?" The man looked up with a warm smile, his weathered face lighting up. "Oh, bless you, thank you so much. I'm heading to the community center with these groceries for the local food bank." Mia helped him carry the bags, and on their way, they chatted about his experiences and the importance of community support. It was a small act, but both Mia and the man felt a spark of joy that brightened their day. Inspired by this encounter, Mia decided to make small acts of kindness a part of her life. The next day, she bought an extra coffee for the person behind her in line at the cafe. The surprise on the stranger's face was priceless, and she sensed that her simple gesture had turned their day around. Days turned into weeks, and Mia began to notice changes in herself and the people around her. She started leaving uplifting notes in public places, paying for bus fares, and volunteering at shelters on her weekends. Each little act seemed to create ripples of positivity. People began to smile more around her. A friend at work started a gratitude challenge, and her neighbors began to help one another out more often. One afternoon, Mia was helping at a local soup kitchen when a little girl approached her with wide eyes. "Why do you do this?" the girl asked, curious. Mia knelt down and said, "Because kindness is contagious, and when we help others, it spreads happiness and hope." The girl nodded thoughtfully. The act of helping others became a way of life for Mia, leaving a lasting legacy that would inspire countless generations to come. And so, the story of Mia reminds us that no act of kindness is ever too small. It has the power to change lives, foster community, and create a ripple effect that can brighten the world. I challenge each of you to perform one random act of kindness for a stranger each day for the next week. Purposely hold the door open for someone with a happy greeting. Give someone a sincere compliment, or let someone cut in line ahead of you, which I know at the fair is a tall order. Random acts of kindness require intentionality. Often you have to look for those opportunities, but I think that's half the fun. You get to say to yourself, where do I get to improve someone's life today? I promise you, the word of a generous and joyful heart is well worth the effort. Now, will you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now, as Rotarians, we will say the four-way test.
Is it true? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Now,
I guess we could agree to that. Yes. Nice job. Thank you for sharing. Jordan, good to see you again.
all right, thanks everyone. Now I get the pleasure of introducing guests today. I'm going to announce their name and a little bit about them and ask them to stand and remain standing, and then we'll recognize you all at once. So we're always pleased to have her. We have past District Governor Erna Moraine with the Waukee Club and wife of Steve Moraine, so always good to see you. We have Bryson Stauffer, the 10-year-old grandson of Dick Stauffer, who you may have seen. He's already working on publicity here on KCCI on Monday night, doing work for the West Des Moines United Methodist Church at the Iowa State Fair, celebrating 75 years there. So way to go, Bryson. We have Nick Ross, Business Development Manager of White's Company, a guest of Chris Anderson. And we have Laurel Waterman, Lincoln High School Scholarship recipient, who we'll hear shortly from. So welcome to all of you. And this is turning into the birthday month for John Lorenzen. I said happy birthday to John last week. I found out it's this week. Where's John? John, happy birthday. We're going to be just celebrating you all month, so we got a couple few more weeks left with that. Okay, it's interesting and fun times now, so we're going into our segment of Did You Know? So our first one, sorry for if you're still eating, don't look, for this little drink on the table. So here's the question to all of you. What product do we still use today that was originally called mold juice? Mold juice, M-O-L-D. What was called mold juice originally? Okay, it is a something we take. It's a medicine. It's a medicine. Penicillin. Very good.
Oh.
Way to go. Okay. I got another phobia one like we had last week. This one isn't as long. What is, I'll try to pronounce it again, what is allodoxophobia?
Fear of allodoxin.
Good guess, but wrong. Fear of what?
Doctors.
Fear of doctors? No. Okay, here's a hint. It is something that a president of this club should not have.
Fear of public speaking.
No. Fear of other people's opinions. So while I appreciate, I appreciate all of your opinions, I do not fear them. And now for the rolling or Rotarians on the floor laughing segment, we've got a little cartoon for you this week. It's a Mother Goose and Grimm cartoon that I don't know if it's still in publicity or in publication. Okay. This is for those of you who can't see it, this is a circus, Grimm. Have you ever worked with lions before? Lions? Some of my best friends are lions. And then he gets introduced to the lion and he yells, Rotarians, I meant Rotarians. So that's it for your laugh of the day. And now I'd like to bring up our Community Service Committee Chair, Rich Leopold, to share a few words.
Feel the love. Bad allodoxophobia. You know, the standard, I've told a few jokes. President Kevin is keeping things lighthearted. So I don't know if I've told this one before. I got to get some new jokes. But I figure we have a district governor and a spouse and a few new members, so I'm going to give it a shot. Do you know how many Midwestern parents it takes to change a light bulb? No, that's fine. You go out and you have fun. I'll just sit here in the dark. I'm just fine. Don't worry about me. That's my mom. I'm sorry. Okay, Community Service Committee. So the inspiration fit in well, talking about kindness and things like that. And I was thinking, I'm currently chair of the Community Service Committee, and I didn't come to Rotary 7 years ago or so because of community service, but that's why I stay in Rotary, actually, is I really enjoy the community service outlets and things like that. So we are continuing this committee. We're going to start meeting in person again. So they used to do this at 1 o'clock at the end of a regular Rotary meeting. We'll go an extra half hour. We'll get a little table and we'll sit down and we'll talk about community service. Looking at 5 meetings over the next year. Our first meeting is going to be August 29th in 2 weeks, right here in this room. We're going to be efficient. It's going to be fun, personally fulfilling. We've already got some great things going. So we got the warm coat drive, the Thanksgiving card, the blood drive. We're looking at new things like the Attain, the grant that we gave for the meal vehicle, I'm not sure. We're looking at botanical gardens perhaps, and we have historically maybe the library. Anyway, there's a lot of fun stuff going. And I just wanted to make this general announcement that please, if you're interested, let Kitty know, let myself know. It can put you on the list. And what we're doing is we're vetting different events, we're looking for champions, and then we're figuring out how to get them in front of the club. So thanks for your participation and your rousing applause.
And Rich, thank you for your great leadership. I'm excited for your year coming up here on our community service, which is one of our pillars, strategic initiative pillars. Next, I'd like to bring up to the podium Laurel Waterman. She is one of our scholarship recipients that we introduced here just a minute ago. So Laura, do you want to come up and share what's going on with you?
Hello, I'm Laurel Waterman. So I was just asked here to just kind of speak on like my college journey so far. So I was a recipient in 2021, so like right after my whole senior year was virtual. And I'm going to be a senior at Iowa State. I was also from Lincoln High School. I started on my college journey as an architecture student, and that lasted about 3 2/3 of a semester. I kind of realized for like my first semester of actual architecture courses that I didn't really have a passion for designing and creating buildings. I was a lot more interested in like the environmental, cultural, political, social side and aspects of architecture. So I still stuck with it though, because I was still excelling in my classes and I really enjoyed them, but and I also didn't want to really be seen as like one of the people who drops out of architecture because it's too hard. And I also kind of felt like I could find like my little niche in architecture. But then it was my 4th semester, and it was the day right after spring break, and I showed up to studio hours before anybody else, and I was working on stuff, and I kind of just had this realization, and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be here. So I went to the bathroom, I recomposed myself, I came back to the studio, and I looked up Iowa State majors A to Z. And I just looked at the list, and I found community and regional planning. And there was something that I definitely learned about in some of my architecture classes, because their architecture and community and regional planning are pretty related. But I read the description, and I was like, that's what I want to do. And I made the decision just like at my desk within like the span of half of an hour. And even though I told my guidance counselor, I took a week to think about it. And I made it then. But yeah, so I switched majors and I haven't looked back. I just find myself just like sitting in class and being like, this is so fun. Like I'm enjoying just like having a professor just like talk at me about CRP. So I finished 1 year and I have 1 year left, and I actually had my first internship this summer through Iowa State University Extension and Outreach. I was one of their Rising Star interns, and I worked in Perry as a community development intern, and it was definitely I stepped into a pretty unique situation because of the shooting and then also the Tyson plant loss, or the plant closure. And I just it was a very independent internship, and it was very self-led. I basically had to create my own project and then like finish it out to an end goal. So yeah, I just wanted to thank you guys for supporting my education. I don't even know what I would have to do if I had to have a job during the semester because of just how intense my course load is. So yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you, Laurel. And now I'm going to introduce past President Sean Mullen, who will introduce our program today of District Governor Dave Cook and his wife Lisa. So, Mr. Mullen.
Thank you, President Kevin. I couldn't help but snicker a little bit at the Mother Goose and Grimm cartoon, because one of my favorite Rotarians, Dave Ullman, once told me, he said, Sean, do you know what Kiwanis mean? And I said, why no, Dave, I don't know what Kiwanis means. And he goes, it's an Indian word that means wish we were Rotarians. That's going on, Dave. I got to pay on that. Fellow Rotarians and guests, welcome. We're glad you're here today. It is indeed an honor to welcome our new district governor, who has been a member of the Rotary Club of Boone since 2001. He served as Boone Rotary President in 2008 and 2009, and later as assistant governor from 2011 to 2014. He pioneered club visioning in our district in 2012, guiding numerous clubs and district action teams over the next 6 years. Recently, he has led the effort to expand club extensions as district membership chair. His lovely and gracious wife, Lisa, has been an active member of the Boone Evening Rotary Club since 2019. She served as president of the Rotary Club of Boone last year, becoming the first member of a club extension to lead a host club in District 6000. Our district governor and his bride, Lisa, recently, get this, celebrated their 42nd anniversary and are expecting their first grandchild this fall. Congratulations. They have 2 grown children, Hallie and Christian, and a wonderful dog named Wrigley. We don't know where that name came from, but one can guess. Together, they've also hosted Rotary Exchange students from Spain and Mexico. Please give a warm Rotary Club of Des Moines welcome to our district governor, Dave Cook.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to be at the Rotary Club of Des Moines. Today we're going to talk about the magic of Rotary, but I want to spend some time talking about what the magic of Rotary, what it means to me, and I hope that some of the things that I'll talk about you may have a similar feeling, and maybe it inspires you as well. But I want to start out by this collage. So you might recognize some of the folks up here, but these are Rotarians from all across District 6000, and they're all involved in doing good in their community. And so the smiles on their faces is not a coincidence, because when we think about what Rotary is all about. To me, it is about together what we do in our communities and beyond, to basically working together hand in hand to create the magic that we're going to talk about today. So I want to start at the beginning. For those who have been in Rotary for some time, you know the name Paul Harris. And Paul and three of his friends decide in 1905 that they're going to come together for fellowship and also to help build their businesses. And so this is a picture in 1912. Paul and his wife Jean, they moved to this home just south of downtown Chicago, and they spend the next 35 years in this home. And the original boardroom for Rotary is actually in the basement. In October, I was fortunate with the district governor elects in my class to spend the day in this home. And as we were walking out the door at the end of that day, one of my classmates, she bent down, she picked up something, and she put into my hand an acorn. And I didn't think much about it at the time. I put it in my pocket, and that night at the hotel, I started to think about her gift. And I don't know if you know that Paul Harris was known for planting oak trees around the world. They were called peace trees. And they also planted them in this front yard. So they actually planted a peace garden in this front yard. And you can't see it, it's behind the next tree, but there's a large oak tree that I have since learned the foundation that takes care of this home has dated the tree to being planted just a couple of years after they moved into the home. And so I start to understand that her gift to me was actually Paul Harris's gift to me. And this acorn, the creation of 1,000 forests, it was said by Ralph Waldo Emerson, the creation of 1,000 forests is in one acorn. So how is that? You plant an acorn and it produces an oak tree. And that oak tree produces thousands of acorns, and year over year, over 10, 20, 100 plus years, the potential of 1,000 forests exists. And Emerson's wisdom resonates in Rotary, because we are all part of 1,000 forests that began as a small acorn when Paul Harris started the first club in 1905. From that first acorn grew 36,000 clubs in 220 countries and over 1.2 million members. From that small acorn grew. This is a map of Iowa from 1925. The first club is in Chicago in 1905. And by 1925, there's over 50 clubs in the state of Iowa. And this club was the first club 113 years ago in Iowa. And what's remarkable is that not only what followed was now there's 125 clubs and over 5,000 members in the state of Iowa. But this is the remarkable thing. We live in a world today that's here today, gone tomorrow. We're kind of a disposable society. Things change so rapidly. But here's the remarkable thing. Every single one of these 50 clubs exists today. Not a one has been lost in that time period. How does that happen? It happens because these communities support these clubs. People want to be a part of these clubs. These clubs do good not only within their town, their city, but far beyond as well. And to me, this is probably as good an example of the magic of Rotary as any I can think of, because it's not by happenstance that these clubs have survived and that Rotary has thrived. But it's not just our ability to impact locally. So it's 1943 and the world is at war and the League of Nations has failed, which was intended to prevent World War. And Rotary starts to realize that at some point the war is going to end and there's going to need to be some mechanism where countries can resolve differences. And so Rotary, along with a lot of other people, starts to lay the groundwork for the United Nations. And there are 49 Rotarians that are involved in this process. And Rotary is instrumental in helping to start the United Nations following World War II. Why was Rotary asked to be a part of this? They were because, think back to that time, there was no organization in the world that had a footprint as broad as Rotary. And so after the ratification, Rotarians across the world, over 1,000 Rotarians were involved in helping to educate their local population about what this new thing was and why it was important. And that, to me, is another example of the magic of Rotary. So every November, the United Nations celebrates Rotary Day in recognition of our initial role and the vital humanitarian projects that we share with the United Nations. Our ability to do things that governments cannot is another example of the magic of Rotary. This is Stephanie Urchek. Stephanie is the president of Rotary International this year, and Stephanie had this to say: "We are not going to grow membership, end polio, or bring peace to the world by waving a magic wand. That's not the magic. The magic is you." She said, "It's up to you. You create the magic with every project completed, every dollar donated, and every new member inducted." So in other words, what Stephanie's saying is, it's up to you. It's up to me. It's up to us. We are responsible for creating the magic in our clubs and beyond. It's up to us. Let's talk about a few goals for this year. Our first goal is that we want, for the first time in more than a decade, we want to see a net increase in our membership across the district. That sounds relatively easy, but this is a large organization, not only in Iowa, but beyond. The average club in District 6000 lost 2 members last year. Multiply it by 66 clubs, now we're talking about 130. We're talking, this is This is a big number. But some clubs grew faster, some clubs lost more. This is a list of the 14 fastest growing clubs in District 6000 in the last year. And I apologize in the back if you can't see. So I'm just going to tell you a story about a few of these. So the fastest growing club in Rotary District 6000 last year was Winterset. Winterset grew 26%, a community of about 5,500 people. But they had three things happening, kind of coinciding. They had just celebrated their centennial. They had a service project I'll talk about in a little while later, and they had a club extension. All these three things came together, and that community grew, that club grew 26%. Newton, Iowa. Newton, Iowa's club grew 16%. I always kind of shine the light on Newton because there are not too many communities in Iowa that have been kicked more times than Newton has in the last 15 years. And you know, they lost a major employer in Maytag, and then they lost the employer that replaced some of those jobs. But look at that. Newton grew 16%. It's another example of the community is a fighter, but it also comes together and it supports this club because they know the good it does in their community. A few others, Boone up 8%. Our club has grown 50% in the last 5 or 6 years. There's a joke in Boone that Boone's been a community of 12,500 people since the war. Pick any war. And it is really, it's remarkably true. I joke, I don't think you can have a child in that community unless somebody's willing to leave. But and then Dallas Center. Dallas Center is now growing. How about Mount Pleasant? Mount Pleasant just lost one of their biggest employers. And here is the community coming together and Rotary's growing. Here is our, basically I'm going to give you a little bit of history and then we're going to talk about a goal. So Rotary Club of Des Moines. So if you go 189, 183, 171, that's the last 3 years. Give yourself a little bit of grace, folks. In larger communities, larger cities in Iowa, those clubs were hurt more by the pandemic than a club that might be out on an island, whether it be Carroll or Boone or what have you. And so we understand it, and I was so excited today when Kevin took us through, along with your board, in the planning work that's being done. As I told him, it made my day. And so I congratulate you. So here is the goal. The goal is to be at 170, and I know that that number may change a little bit between 167 and 170, but know this. We are cheering this club on because the scale of this club is so important. Its importance to the district. And so not only are we cheering you on, but we hope that others will be able to learn from what you are about to embark on. So I congratulate you on that. Our second goal. This is kind of a new area for Rotary. We want to reduce the 5-year average of newer members lost. Now, 34% of the members we lose as a district were in Rotary 2 years or less. It's not because they had a bad experience, but Rotary attracts busy people. They come into our club and you know this, they are being pulled. Other people want them in their organization. And if they don't feel their talents are being utilized, they will go find someplace that they are. And so when we talk about this 34%, we believe that by and large, a lot of these people, these losses are preventable. It's not like somebody who's been in the club for 20 plus years and a spouse gets sick. That is life and we're not going to change that. But for a newer member, it's delivering on the promise. Are we what they expected? Are we getting them engaged? And if we lower that 34% by just 5 points, we will be among the fastest growing districts in the United States, and the clubs that make up District 6000 will be among the faster growing as well. That's how important this number is. We are, as I mentioned to the board, we are a little bit of a leaky bucket. Here is District 6000, the 34% I already showed you. This club actually has a higher retention rate than the average. When members come here, they stay. But there isn't a club in this district that couldn't benefit from asking a very simple question. What could we do to reduce our loss of newer members? The goal that's been set is to reduce that 5-year average to 24 in the first year. And I think based on what I was shown earlier, the ability to attract and engage members, all of that leads to greater retention. So the question for the club is, what can we do? What can you do to help reduce your loss, or in a positive way, to increase your retention level even more? We want to start 4 new club extensions. So 15% of the clubs in District 6000 now have these. If you're not familiar, it's very simple. It's one club that meets at 2 different times. So it's a club like our home club. We have a noon club that's been around for 105 years, but we have 50% of our members belong to the same club, but they meet at 5:30. About 75% of that club are women, because it so happens that sometimes our traditional meeting times don't align with a lot of younger professionals' jobs. So we want to start these extensions. This is the same list of clubs I showed you. 4 of those clubs have club extensions. They have been among the fastest growing clubs. About 35% of the total members we added last year were in club extensions. They came through club extensions. So it's a way for current clubs to grow and expand your base, because basically you provide another meeting time that allows more people to join your club. It's such a simple idea, but one that has proven effective. Finally, we want to generate some new service project ideas. We've encouraged clubs to ask their members a very simple question. So, if you believe that engagement drives club growth and retention, and I do, if you start to focus in on the interests of your club members, they will become even more engaged. So here are the 7 areas of focus in Rotary. I'm not going to go through them. It's clean water, it's child and maternal health, on and on. But we're encouraging clubs to do a very simple thing. Give your club members an opportunity to say which of these they are most passionate about, if they had to choose one. And you're going to learn something about your membership. There may be some interest here in an area that you're not currently doing anything in. And they are the perfect people to get aligned, to start doing something in that area. So it's another way to try to strengthen and grow our clubs. These are 3 very quick examples. So I mentioned Winterset. This is a service project, so they decided they were going to build an all-inclusive playground. This picture does not do it justice. It is a wonderful, in that community, they raised over $1.2 million in just about 6 months. And it is beautiful, but the community embraced it. It's exactly what we were talking about earlier. They got behind this, and their club grew because people wanted to be a part of it. This is a blanket. This is from Bettendorf, Iowa. So a few years ago, Bettendorf decided, the club said, we're going to try to basically have an acre of warmth. We want to gather blankets up for the homeless. And so they started putting boxes around the Quad Cities. And they gathered up 900 blankets, which was about what it would take to cover an acre. Last year, they gathered over 3,000. They have more blankets than they have homes. That's a good problem.
Yeah.
So a couple months ago, I was in Pella, and folks from Bettendorf brought down 100 blankets, and they put them in my car. And one of my close friends, Steve Dakin, delivered them to the families in Greenfield who have lost their homes. That is the magic of Rotary right there. Something that was initially a local service project is now providing blankets halfway across the state. But that is Rotary. The final one is kind of I don't have a grandchild yet, so I show pictures of this train because this was a project, this was a 4-year project in Boone. If you go down Highway 30, you'll see the welcome trains at the entrance to Boone. And it was intended to encourage people to make that left and right-hand turn, and it has worked. And we see people taking pictures by this all the time. But again, that 4-year project got people engaged, and they wanted to be a part of it. Last goal, we want to increase giving to the foundation, because giving to the foundation is what fuels a lot of the grants that benefit communities. I'm not going to go into this in depth, but Polio Plus, the annual fund endowment fund, there are multiple opportunities to give. This year we are doing something different. So in 2017 there was a legacy event. So we're working in the next year to raise $1 million in future gifts. And most of these are bequests in your will. They may be a 3-year pledge. They could be cash gifts of minimum required distributions, or that type of thing. But we want to try to raise that money to help support the foundation so that money can come back to the district. And I'm really excited about this. So on November the 15th, we have been working with the World Food Prize Hall laureates, and we are going to have that facility, the entire thing, for that evening. And so tickets are available on the District 6000 website. I think it's going to be a wonderful evening that's going to be focused on basically the magic of giving and really what the foundation does. And so I encourage you to check that out. Next spring, April the 12th, is our district conference, which will be at the FFA at Bridgman Center in Ankeny. So I want to finish up by talking about what I believe is the best example of the magic of Rotary, that not only in District 6000, but I believe worldwide. So a little over a year ago, 2 Rotarians decide they're going to fly a single-engine airplane around the world to raise money for polio. And so John Ockenfels from Iowa City and Peter Tian from Cedar Rapids, John said, people told us this trip couldn't be done, shouldn't be done, that nobody in their right mind would do it, but with the support of our family and Rotarians, we did it. And Lisa and I were in Singapore in May when John and Peter were recognized at the Rotary International Convention for what they had done. So think about this. If you're flying a single-engine airplane 16 hours and sometimes over water, if you have engine trouble, you are going in the drink. And so they would fly in these survival suits, which if you've never seen them, they look like Gumby. They are hot, they are uncomfortable, but they have the potential to save your life if you go into the ocean before people are going to find you. And so they did it, and they've raised over $2 million. The entire cost of the trip was on their dime, and it was basically a flying fuel tank. That is the magic of Rotary. 2 people decide, and then the community supports them, and people come behind them. So it takes me back to the beginning of polio. So if you don't know the story, so when Rotary decided they were going to try to rid the world of polio, in 1979, they decided on a proof of principle test. It was in the Philippine Islands. They were going to try to vaccinate all the kids in the Philippines to see, can we rid the islands of polio? And it worked. And here is who would become Matt Capras, who would become a future RA president, said this: we are here to mark the beginning, the small beginning, of what we hope will be a great thing, the total eradication from the face of this earth of a dreaded disease, poliomyelitis. And then he said this: great things always have a small beginning. Great things always have a small beginning. It's like the first 4 Rotarians. They had no idea. They had no idea what would become of that small club they started. Great things always have a small beginning. My charge to you is never discount what might grow from the good things that this club does and will do. And whether it's a big idea or a small idea, I encourage you to try something new this year. Whether it's to serve others, to grow and retain members, to increase giving to the foundation, or just to have more fun. Because we're all volunteers. We choose to be here. We choose to be here because we enjoy the fellowship and we enjoy the good work that we do. And to me, that is basically what it means to look at an organization. The magic of Rotary is about what we do together. With that, I thank you for your hospitality, the warmth that we've been shown since we walked in the door. And I look forward to working with you hand in hand as we create the magic of Rotary. So, thank you.
Thank you, Dave, for your presentation and great leadership of our district. I want to recognize your partner there because it is a team effort in what you do. So Lisa, would you please stand and let us recognize you as well? Okay, real quickly here, upcoming meetings. We've got some great programs coming up, so think about inviting a guest. We've got the owner and founder of the Raygun Company. We've got a chief economist for the state of Iowa, be interesting, and we have the CEO of ChildServe. So a high-powered list of programs coming up. Please bring a guest, and Nick, you are welcome to come back and check one of those out as well. Okay, upcoming events. We two morning fuels scheduled. One August 27th. They occur at 9 o'clock in the morning. It'll be the best hour you invest by coming and having coffee with other Rotarians and learning from some of our great members. And the first one, August 27th, coming up, is Paul Schickler, former CEO of Pioneer. And then the next one is September 17th, former CEO of the Rasmussen Group, Lynette Rasmussen. So we've got tremendous members in our club, the opportunity to get to know them a little bit better. And then lastly, you'll be getting notes on this and invites on this. Our Thank Fall event, September 26th, an opportunity to get together that evening at Rich's facility at the Jesser Park Nature Center. It was a great time last year, and expect to have a big turnout this coming year. And last, we always end on our 3 strategic initiative pillars. I think, Dave, you really talked a lot about that, and Rich today spoke about that third one, about building community impact. So if you, and Dave, you talked about as well, so if you want to participate, if you have an idea, come to one of Rich's meetings or send him a note, share him some of your passions, and let's make a greater impact around Des Moines together. Okay, thank you for all coming today. Guests, Erna, Bryson, Nick, Laurel, Dave, and Lisa, thank you all for being with us today. We are adjourned.